is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
I want to get the language right. The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
Not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. It is May the 31st, 2016. My name is S.M. Gibson, and this is Anti-Media Radio. I am tired of being lied to. I'm tired of the distractions. I know you're tired of it. Everybody's tired of it. Everybody's sick of being lied to constantly. And everybody's looking for another person to pull them out of the wreckage, whether it's Bernie or whether it's Trump, or nobody supports Hillary, so we don't have to include her in this conversation. But these people are not the answer to whatever the problem you think is. Bernie Sanders isn't going to save America. Donald Trump certainly will not save America. You know who saves America? You. You do. For your life and your family. And for those around you. Donald Trump, I don't think is going to do anything to help this country. I can probably say that for, any of them. But at this point, I'm convinced, unless, something crazy happens, Donald Trump's going to win. He's going to be the president, like it or not. It looks like that's in the cards, unless. But, that we'll see how that goes. I tell you what, before I get into the top stories tonight, I want to go ahead and bring on our wonderful producer, Shannon Madden.
You have bumped your head if you think that Hillary's going to lay down at this point in time. That woman has fought.
She's not going to lay down, but she's going to get run over.
Against probably one of the I guess better organized grassroots operations that we haven't seen the likes of since what's that fella's name? Oh, Bill Clinton, her husband. Old rapey over there.
Yeah.
He got his little youth movement going, just like Bernie did, and all these big crowds of people, the 20 and 30,000 people that's showing up to hang on Uncle Bernie's last words, every last word. Free college and free this and free that. And we got to come together and we got to defeat these evil people.
Yeah, what a weird election we do. We have Daddy, we have Mother, and we have Uncle Bernie.
Uncle Bernie's out of it. He's all but toast at this point.
Yeah, and it's a shame because as much as I disagree with some of his policies, I do think he's a genuine guy. More so than the others, I'll say. I don't think he,
I'd have a cup of coffee with him.
Yeah, I don't think Bernie Sanders is a horrible person. I think the others are, but I don't think he is. That doesn't mean I agree with his policies and would think he should be president. But I don't think he's, the devil, as opposed to.
So who should be president?
Good question, man.
It's kind of a loaded question.
That is. That's a huge question.
I mean, do we pick from existing candidates? Do we pick from,
who should actually
we know
be
it's
president?
a spokesperson job anyways, a spokesperson gig, which, I don't know qualifies Trump quite handily. when it comes to this. I think his experience in the wrestling.
I know
ring,
there's people that will disagree with me, but I'd let Ron Paul do it.
Well, and Ron Paul has been popping up in internet threads and some of your liberty-minded groups as a possible write-in candidate. Me personally, man, it's just I mean, the whole thing is just really sticky any way you want to look at it. If ever there was a time to at least consider if you think that voting is going to do any good at all, consider a third party candidate. Now would be that time.
It looks like maybe a fourth party candidate because guarantee you McAfee is here till November.
I like that guy.
I do too.
God, I like that.
I know. He's not going anywhere.
I mean, wow. How can I word this right? I mean, if you're looking for just out and out crazy, but you're also looking for somebody that has at least a modicum of genius about them, and crazy meaning by his past and some of the things he's done in the past, McAfee is still he's relatively tame these days. Of course, he did get popped for DUI not too terribly long ago, which I don't know. Me personally, I think it's better to have a candidate that's at least experienced living the American life the way that we have to live it. Instead of a life of privilege. And of course, and bear in mind, I'm not going to poor mouth John McAfee. He's blown through a fortune that I wouldn't even begin to know what to do with. And he just, blew it. He blew most of it up, and the rest of it went up in flames in Belize.
Literally blew some of it.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
But at the same time, who am I to judge? God, I think of some of the stupid crap I've done without. If somebody giving me that much money, I'd have killed myself.
This is okay. I was looking for this yesterday. I tweeted out. Let's see. So I'm pretty sure John McAfee isn't going anywhere despite Johnson getting the nomination. Mm-hmm. And for anybody that wants to follow either me or Anti-Media on Twitter, you can do so at Anti-Media and me at the SM Gibson. But at Anti-Media is the important one. Make sure to follow that on Twitter. Anyway, so I tweeted out, so I'm pretty sure John McAfee didn't go anywhere despite Johnson getting the nomination. And McAfee responded by saying, "You apparently know me very well. I stated in the beginning, I will disrail this train, watch and see, new age." So, yeah, he's not going anywhere.
And Liz, and for anybody who's curious or hasn't caught we actually got a chance to interview him very early on in his campaign. And man, that guy's he is definitely the most interesting man in the world. No two ways around about it.
Yeah, he is.
He keeps it real.
Whether you think he should be president or not, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't, but going back to that though, I really do think that I kind of want my candidate to have a few warts on him. Have a little bit of
there's nobody you're going to get that doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody.
But then again, look at how I'm talking about somebody that's actually had to go through the legal system. That's actually had to, instead of being able to just toss some money at a situation, actually have to show up for trial, have to go pee in a cup, have to actually be detained and worry over the weekend, is somebody going to bail you out of jail? You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about for a minor infraction. I'm not talking about allowing a murderer or a rapist anything
So what
like
you're
that.
saying is somebody that didn't grow up as a Bush did.
Yeah.
But see, Obama came from that. And so did Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton certainly came from that. Bill Clinton came from nothing. Obama didn't come from anything either, but Bill Clinton came from Hope, Arkansas.
Dirt poor Arkansas.
Jeez, people don't know poor Arkansas.
Right up the road from Deliverance.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, yeah.
Yeah, he learned a few things.
Yeah, he wasn't. Look, sure. Obama was in Hawaii. He was in Africa. He was going places. Moving around the world, seeing things. No, Hope, Arkansas. He was in Hope, Arkansas.
Proving once again, you can take the boy out of Arkansas, but you can't take Arkansas out of the boy.
So what I'm saying though is, is you say you're looking for that in a candidate. We've had that. Like, you had that with Bill Clinton.
Yeah, but we've had that with people who, I'm not talking about people that had
They're not all
upbringing.
Bushes.
I'm talking about people that actually are open and candid about what they've done in the past, even though it has no bearing on who they are now. In fact, they and Trump has been.
Trump does that.
Yeah, Trump has been pretty, but I mean, what's his past been though? It's not anything that the average American, you or I, can actually relate to. He was born into affluence, and now he's one of the wealthiest people in America right now. You know, well, not
so he'll have you believe.
Well, yeah,
but he is.
He's certainly doing fine for himself right now because
he's not hurting.
As we pointed out on the show before, you know, the vast amount of his fortune currently is his brand name, and his brand name is
he's
hot
not.
right
Let me
now,
tell you
buddy.
what Donald Trump is. You know, people say they ask what he is. Is he a real estate agent, or you know, is he in realty and building, and you know, is he a talk show host? Is he a game show host? Is he a WWE Hall of Famer?
Is he president of the United States?
He is WWE Hall of Famer, and he probably will be president too. Unfortunately, what he is, Donald Trump is a marketer. That's all he's ever been. He's about marketing himself. All those things we just listed, all those things we said, is because he's he's selling himself. And he does it very, very, very well. So, because of that, I think he's going to own up to, like, you want somebody that shows their flaws. Trump does that. But I don't think Trump's doing it out of, I think he's doing it out of political chess. It's a move in his head. If I do this, they'll believe me on this other stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm open about this. So if I just say this, they'll believe any of this other crap I say.
Yeah.
They'll just follow it. When he tells the truth about that one thing, it's just, yeah, this guy's got it figured out. Yeah, and that's it. If he just shows you his warts, you'll just fall him off the cliff. And that's what we're doing.
No. Remember, kids, there's no candy in that.
Oh,
van.
no, there's not.
None.
No, there's not.
But then again, there's no candy in Hillary's van either. Oh, my God. The amount of pain we're going to have if she becomes president of the United States. We are we really are screwed either way here.
It seems that way. Want to go ahead and go to area code 403. Thank you for calling Amside Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight.
Is this George Simons? No.
Excuse me?
This isn't Dr. George Simons on UCY?
No, ma'am. That show is at a different, I'm not sure what time that show comes on. I should probably know that. But you can check it out on ucy.tv/nothing.
Yeah, you can go and
ucy.tv.
Check out the fine
all the great
programming
shows
on UCY.
UCY. And Jules show's great. Listen to it. So
I like that ding of confirmation.
That's it.
I think that was Jules. That was Jules speaking to us from beyond.
So, you know, I don't know what people think they're going to get from Trump. I don't know what people think. Even what they're going to get, I don't know what they think. Bernie's Bernie. That's how I think of Bernie. It's just, it is what it is.
Why is he? Bernie's out of this.
Right. That's the thing.
Everybody, let's go ahead and officially, even though Bernie hasn't officially done it,
I know.
I'm going to go ahead.
And he may. Look,
and
it could happen.
No.
I don't think it will either.
No,
ever.
There's no way.
The only reason I say, don't get me wrong. It's not like he's going to beat her because it's rigged. I know that. But the only way is if there's a deal cut where she's going to try to pull the plug and save everything to keep herself out of everything and Bill being a rapist and everything else, then she'll pull the plug. And then they won't have any other choice. And they'll run Bernie to get beat.
There's no way in hell that's
or they could run Biden. Because they don't want Bernie.
No way. This thing is going to be bloody.
Yeah, it'll never be Bernie. It's going to be crooked. It'll never be Bernie.
It is going to be.
Ever.
This right here is going to blow the whole entire, this general election. Bernie's out of it.
Yeah,
let's go ahead and officially announce that Bernie Sanders is no longer a candidate for president of the United States.
Just say it.
He has been cheated out of it. Hey, you look at it however you want to, but that's just the way it worked out.
You need
He's
Jimmy
done.
Hart over there screaming
He's
about
done.
who's cheating. Yeah,
He's got a chair upside the back of his head. He's bleeding profusely.
that's it.
The bell has been rung.
Thrown
He's
off the top of the
done.
cage.
Done, son. And I hate
No,
it.
what it is that it's the Montreal screw job is what it is. It's Bret Hart losing his belt for no reason.
And I hate it, but
that's what it is.
I can't help but feel like we saved a little money here. So
Bernie screwed Bernie. So anyway, I want to go ahead and bring on journalist, writer, editor, amongst many other things.
all about woman of the world.
Yes,
Yeah.
very cosmopolitan young lady, Miss Claire Burnish. Claire, what's
Howdy.
Howdy. Midwestern girls, gosh. What's up, girl? What you doing?
This is an interesting day.
Yeah, I agree with
most
that.
days are?
No, not
Yes.
all.
I guess so.
But
We're
following Memorial Day in particular, this
That's-
is an interesting day.
Yeah, we're sitting here without air conditioning right now.
Yeah.
I can't believe we've gone this far into the show and you haven't brought that up. That's really what this whole show is about, is getting you some AC up in this joint.
I'd be all right. I ain't too worried about it. Be good. Man.
You need to call one of them like 24-hour AC joints. You'll pay like triple the price, but
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen.
I can put my pants back on there.
Anyways, so back to the interesting world of freeing ourselves from the oppression, which is the bondage of politics.
No.
Is that worded properly? Some
Yes.
crap. Who knows? So in your world, your perspective, your thoughts on today, the interesting, the non-interesting, go for it.
In the politics realm?
Nah, just let's, I don't know. How are you feeling today, Claire?
That's a different story.
Yeah, same here. It's kind of muggy outside. It's kind
Yeah.
of hot.
It is. It was like 86 here today and very, very muggy.
So, speaking of muggy and weather, I guess this is weather. FEMA bracing for the earthquake that will decimate Macklemore, the Seahawks, the Space Needle, Puget Sound, Rainier Brewery. You get it. The Pacific Northwest. Claire, that's a story you wrote. Why don't you kind of tell everybody what FEMA's telling everybody what's about to happen and what they're preparing for?
So FEMA is doing earthquake preparedness, which kind of only barely describes what is going on, involving Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. There's, everybody's heard of the big one for earthquakes, the one in California involving the San Andreas. And movies have been made about it, and everybody talks about it all the time. It's been studied extensively. But there is a far worse threat in terms of tectonic activity, and that is the really big one in the Cascadia subduction zone. And the problem is in the Cascadia subduction zone is that it's a subduction plate. It's a subduction fault. So one plate is trying to move underneath the North American plate, and it causes more tension than is involved in the type of fault that is San Andreas. Basically what will happen when this finally comes to a head, which it's predicted to essentially in the next 50 to 100 years, is everything, and this is not my saying, this is actually FEMA's quote, our operating assumption is that everything west of Interstate 5 will be toast. And it's not a lie. It's not an exaggeration. I know that people get really upset about kind of like clickbaity, sensationalistic topics, but this is not one of those. This is actually a threat that big. It's been said that this quake could only, like the true devastation could only be seen from the International Space Station because it's going to change the landscape so drastically. So it's really, really a big deal.
I first heard about this player about 2 months after living in Seattle. And like you hear about it, I will say, I think most people, like the people I knew, were aware that at any moment it could happen. Like it was discussed. Like, so you know about, the biggest fault line right here, and they're like, "Yep, it happens. We're all dead." Like it was just kind of said like that. It's scary. Like you hear it, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, really? Like this is going to be worse."
Well, I don't know. I've talked to a lot of people
because they say worse than the big one. Like it's discussed.
I've talked to a lot of people that live in that area, and there's just like when you talk about the big one down in San Francisco and the San Andreas fault. It's a collective shrug. Okay, yeah, it happens. What can we do about it? I mean, really, there is a collective apathy about the situation, because we hear about the big one all the time, and everybody talks about it for years and years. Well, there's a reason that everybody talks about it, and if it didn't happen this year, great. But at the same time, people still need to be. I mean, that's a very heavily populated area.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we're talking about at least 7 million people who would be directly affected by this, massive quake.
To be fair, though, there's a huge fault line that runs under Nashville. There's a huge fault line that,
No. This is
I know
different.
what you're saying. I know, and I completely know. But I'm just... The difference, like they say, California, like any of those could happen any minute, you don't know. But I think the point you're saying is FEMA's like right now saying, given the situation, like this is going to be happening relatively sooner than later.
Well, it is that, and part of the issue here is that they didn't even really know about this particular fault, the subduction fault, until kind of the later 1980s. They took evidence, physical evidence, based on weird water lines in skeleton trees that were situated off the coast and islands, and they took stories from indigenous populations that they had taken previously as fiction, just kind of stories. They took all of this information. They took information that there was a tsunami across the Pacific in Japan in 1700. They took all of this information and gathered it together and realized that a quake of this magnitude would be absolutely devastating to the coast. It would literally decimate the coast. It's a really big deal, and no, we really don't know exactly when it's going to hit, but it's already 73 years overdue in terms of the cycles that they've gone back and traced over time. I think that the difference between, fault lines, there's a fault line running very near where I am too, in the Ohio Valley. The difference is this is not some dormant fault line. This is not some, thing that's kind of lying there that nobody really knows about. It's happened before. It happened in 1700. It will happen again.
How long ago did they have volcanic activity right there? I mean, what year was Mount St. Helens?
Yeah, it was 82, I think, or 81 maybe. I don't know, but yeah. I mean, Mount St. Helens is. But if you look around the Ring of Fire right now, there are at least 40 active volcanic eruptions happening right now. I mean, we've seen. Oh gosh, I can't even remember. There's been so many earthquakes around the Ring of Fire and the Pacific. This plate is on the move. There is a lot of tension building in this plate, and
it's been a lot in Japan lately.
Well, it's not just Japan, but it's down in South America and stuff. If you look all around the whole, it's the likelihood is we're already past the quote unquote due date. Although you cannot predict earthquakes, we're already past the quote unquote due date. So to imagine that this is not realistic would be just foolhardy. It just depends on what kind of attitude you want to take about it. It's kind of, if you're kind of fatalistic and it'll happen, who cares? I love this area. Hey, fine, whatever.
That's how I can tell you from experience. This is not something, to my knowledge and experience, this is not a secret up there. Everybody's aware of this, and they know it could happen. Now,
as to whether they care or not, that's a completely
I think
different...
that's everything, though. Until we'll deal with it when it happens.
Nobody ever thinks it'll happen to them.
Nobody ever thinks it'll happen to them. You're right.
That's why people die in tornadoes and stuff.
And I think that's the mentality. Because everybody, you can't live in California, there's going to be an earthquake. Can't live in Seattle, there's going to be an earthquake. Can't live in Oklahoma or Kansas, there's going to be a tornado. Can't live in New York, there's going to be a terrorist attack. You can't, live live on the coast, there's going to be a hurricane. It's always something.
Well, it is always something, but I mean, at the same time, awareness is key. If you know something like this is going to happen, and you know the devastation is going to be that huge, I mean, there are sections in this Cascadia zone where there are, elementary schools and all sorts of other businesses and everything else where they don't even have an evacuation plan. They are not even bothering to, put a preparedness plan in place because they know that these places are going to be completely wiped out. They don't even bother. They're just kind of they refuse to build any more buildings. There are no, they will not grant any more licenses for buildings in this area because they know that it's going to be completely wiped out. I mean, that in my mind is a sign.
Well,
it's kind of eerie if
it
you
is.
think about it.
It is.
And I think it does go back to the it'll never happen to us kind of thing. I hate to bring this up, but that mentality I think is very much Trump. I think that's how people are going along with this, especially when people say the Hitler thing, Oh, that'll never happen to us.
It's very fatalistic.
Right. It'll never happen to us. We're not idiots. That'll never happen.
Here we are talking about the destruction of Seattle, and it all somehow comes back to Trump. You're really fixated on Trump tonight.
I don't know.
You are hard for Trump. That's hard.
Oh, really? Is that what it is?
Yeah, you got wood for Trump, man.
Mm-mm. Canada, man. I'm telling you. Canada.
It's really nice this time of year.
I guess. Something this time of year. But, back to the whole destruction of the Pacific Northwest. Back to some lighter topics. It is kind of what it is, Claire. I mean, people are, I think, aware of the situation. I mean, I don't think you're going to see Seattle evacuate tomorrow.
No, you're not. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I'm looking desperately to move from where I am because I don't like this area. But in just looking around the country, I mean, there's Texas, which you have to deal with fracking that is polluting the air at an extremely rapid rate. In, the East Coast, you have to deal with Indian Point and the nuclear problem there. In the Southeast, you have to deal with hurricanes. In the West, you have to deal with earthquakes. It's in the kind of Midwest desert area, you have to deal with drought, and same in the West. I mean, everywhere you look, there is something to deal with. It's just a matter of figuring out which it is you want to deal with, how you want to deal with it, and what attitude you're going to take about it. It's no big deal. If you want to go and move to the Pacific Northwest, hey, no problem. Just be aware that this could happen at any time.
Well, I live there, and that's it. That's the situation. It's never going to happen to us. I will be fine. And if it happens, all got to go sometime. That's the mentality. That really is. I'm telling you. So
of course it is.
I don't think Seattle is going to evacuate, and I think it's good people know, but it's kind of well, hey, at some point you're all going to die really bad. It's going to get rough. So you're aware. And I kind of feel like sometimes I feel, I'm going to go off on a little more broad topic here, so if y'all will allow me. I feel like we do get wrapped up in the cycle of media always being this negative, constant, just barrage of this horrible thing, this horrible person, this horrible situation. And I think the point of that is so people will wake up and be aware of their surroundings and know that you could be harmed. I think there's some truth to that. I also think fear sells. And I think no matter if you're talking about anybody, anywhere, if you're talking about MSNBC, any outlet, I don't care. You can talk about us, any outlet. Fear sells. There are people out there. We've done it. I've tried it. Put up positive stories all day long. Nobody cares. Shannon is dying to jump in right now, and I'm going to allow this to happen.
Well, thank you, because I was falling asleep over here for a moment. No, we don't. No, there ain't no positive vibes tonight. We've got Trump and Hillary running for president. We got Seattle's fixing to be destroyed any moment now. And here you are trying to paint some rainbows and some puppy sunshine over here. What the hell is that?
They're all going to be
You
dead.
people are screwed. You need to get out right now. Get out and go live your lives. Work off your bucket list. I mean, do it now. It's all coming to a crashing halt. Canada, here we come.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, and I understand that fear and negativity sells. Like, I get that, and I tried to make that point even in this article, because it's not saying, oh my God, fear everything and run now. It's not that at all. It's just a matter of you need to be aware of your situation at all times, no matter where you are, no matter what it has to do with. It's your choice what you do with the information. As long as you have it, and you are informed about what's going on in your area. It's the same thing with politics. As long as you are aware what these candidates stand for, what they are going to do when they get in office, if you're aware of the situation, then you can make informed choices. And it's not a matter of selling fear, it's a matter of selling awareness. And if it takes a little bit of fear to get that awareness out, then that's fine with me, as long as the message remains the same. As long as the message is understand what it is that you're getting into.
I agree with that. It should be stressed. Like, to me, this is like the hit home point of it is people do not need to live in fear. And I don't want any stories that we write or any of our partners write or anything, and I know it happens, to come across as this like, be scared, be scared. But, mainstream media, they know they're doing that. And they're happy to do it because they get paid lots and lots of money to do it. Well, luckily, we don't get paid almost anything. So,
paid? You guys are getting paid?
Yeah.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah. But
I mean, I get your point, and I understand that, and that's actually the kind of, like, to get into the details of it, that's kind of the risk of writing an article like this. But as I said, and I stand firm in this, if you know all of the details about something and you can be informed about it and you can be aware of your situation, it's different. It's like me writing about Trump and the coming totalitarianism. It's completely realistic. And it's not meant to scare anybody, but it is meant to say, hey, this is a realistic possibility. You need to understand what it is that we're heading towards. And if you don't understand it, you're heading in blind and you're acting ignorantly in how you vote. So I think it's extremely important that, however the topic comes across, no matter what the topic is, it's extremely important that people understand the details of it and, everything that's involved in it. Yeah, maybe it might be frightening, but that's not because it's sensationalistic. It's because the topic is frightening.
Understandably so. And that's the world we live in, though. I mean, we do, if you think about it, it's a frightening world, but nobody should be crippled by the fear. Nobody should live in fear. I don't think people should even live in anticipation of the fear, but especially with the political stories, it makes more sense. But saying the fault line, it's like, that's going to happen. That's just going to be what that's going to be. As long as people know and they're aware going in.
Yeah, but I don't think the right marketing is going into that. I think really we need to come up with something catchy, like, like the name of the fault. What was the official name of the fault line, Claire?
Cascadia Subduction Zone, but it's also the Wanda Fuka Plate.
Subduction Zone. It's, in big letters, your fault.
Ooh.
I just gave you that one for free.
Wow.
I just feel like I disagree somewhat. I get what you're saying. I understand it. I would never advocate anybody living in fear because that is not where I come from at all. I don't live in fear of it. I don't fear anything because anything can happen at any time. I was hit by a drunk driver on Halloween one time and managed to live through it.
Sorry about that.
So literally every single anything can happen to you at any time. You just never know. And my point is that the more informed that you are, the more aware you are of what's going on around you, the better choices you can make.
Agreed.
Like, if you want to live in a zone like that, if you want to live in that area, and I've considered moving there too, fine, so be it, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's your choice. As long as you're aware that, something could happen. It's no big deal. It doesn't mean be afraid of it. It just means be aware.
A young man named Axel once said, "Welcome to the jungle, baby. You're going to die."
It's true.
So I'll just leave it at that.
The philosopher himself.
He sings for AC/DC now. Can you believe that?
No, I cannot believe
It's
that.
freaking awesome. Have you heard it? It's actually really good.
Nor do I play.
I don't think I can listen.
You don't even be like that, Scott. God, I
ain't gonna plan on it.
My anger.
So, man, there's a ton. I'm trying to roll down the. I'm going to roll down front page of the anti-media.
I'm going to put some headphones on and listen to some AC/DC right now. Y'all go right ahead.
And
the story about the man who was given manslaughter, the man from New York,
for beating his wife.
I'm sorry, man.
Not beating his wife.
No. Beating the man who was attempting to rape his wife. You're a married man. How would you feel if you walked in and stumbled on that scene?
Oh, I
got that phone call.
I said it today. When I read it, I told my wife, I was like, there'd be a pipe going across somebody's head multiple times.
And I wouldn't
stop.
I would not stop. And
I don't
I'm sorry.
I'd think
There's just no way I could.
I don't think I think
and again.
And I would love to sit here and give you this theologian response of, just love. And it would just be, no, I would want to take a turn and would grab one and then start kicking the guy's head in with it.
And again, I want everyone who's listening to this broadcast, because we get, kind of a finger pointed sometimes for being a little too left-leaning. I don't think there's anything left-leaning about it. Well, sometimes.
And right-leaning.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, and here we're going to swing hard right for a minute. And left and right and again and again and again
just
until that dude
point.
is just, I'm sorry, man. That is just, I'm sorry. I can't fault the guy one bit whatsoever. And we remarked off air that if this had happened, this same scenario would happen
in the South.
In the South, oh man, no, dude would have not only gotten off, but probably gotten a really nice job out of it. Yeah.
I was saying if that was in Atlanta, I think.
So is that just a cultural thing?
I think it is.
I mean,
I think people would say it's a race thing, but in this case, I don't. I think it's a cultural thing.
I agree with you.
What Claire's got to say about it, because female perspective is very different than. What do you? Feel?
Yeah, I don't agree. Like, okay, in a case even like this, I still wouldn't call the cops, knowing their record, and I have to say that there is no excuse for violence unless it's self-defense. So I have absolutely no problem with what he did.
Yeah, but to be fair, at some point on like the 14th or 15th swing, it's not self-defense anymore.
No.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is just a personal thing for me, and maybe that will find defense with a bunch of people, I'm sure. But, in my opinion, I don't find fault with what he did.
Oh, I don't either.
I mean, not at all.
I don't either. I don't think.
And that's the thing, though, is like if you're not going to have a brutal police force, if you're not going to have police, then you have to police, your own community. And if you find an attack like this, then take care of it.
And I'm not saying I'm even right in thinking that. I could be completely wrong.
This isn't a guy.
But whatever.
This isn't a guy who hit on his wife or made a pass at her at a gas station or something.
Right.
This is a man who tried to actively physically rape her.
For like 20 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, I understand the mentality that I guess, like, I haven't been there, but I can only imagine that I would do the exact same thing. Think I'm above that? And I know I would probably. So.
Especially with a what was it, a pipe? Yeah, that's my weapon of choice.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
I know.
Yeah, good piece of 1/2-inch galvanized, about 2 foot long. Yeah. Oh, man, that's an excellent weapon. Nothing.
Yeah. Anyway, so
you violate another person in any way, and you have crossed the line, and that's really it.
And again, we're not just talking about a simple violation. I mean, even the word violation is subject to fields. Let's call this what it is. The guy was trying to actively physically rape.
Yeah,
this
man. I don't think, but I don't think though if it had been in the South, there would have been a punishment.
Yeah.
I agree.
White or black, I don't think it would have mattered.
I agree.
So
I mean, I have Southern relatives and stuff, and I absolutely agree with that.
I guess we could use this opportunity to point out the fact that he certainly wasn't white.
No, I know. I mean,
I'll leave that there.
And it's new. You know, I don't know. I'm not going to say that, but who knows? Maybe.
I did. I don't feel bad about it. I pointed it out.
I mean, anything's possible, man. I don't
because we have seen stories from southeastern states or Texas or wherever where the dad goes in and kills the child molester. The dad goes in and saves his daughter.
I
from
think we all
can
agree that he shouldn't have been charged with anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where we can rest on that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't get that. Hey, you're going to get punished now? Whatever. So did you all see where the Huffington Post removed the article about Hillary being indicted on federal racketeering charges?
I have the archived post of that, too.
The original?
Yeah.
Put that in the show chat, please. Thank you.
I
just want to peruse it just for my own general curiosity.
Yeah, jump into that, Claire. Since you saw the original.
Yeah, you got to see the whole.
Yeah. Okay. So I saw it early in the morning with some other coworkers, and we were like, "Whoa, wait a minute," and immediately started jumping everywhere and looking for verification, and it became immediately apparent that this was, a misleading headline. I mean, immediately. Before we'd even read the article and found the disclaimer at the bottom, which does exist. But this is very wishful thinking, for one thing, because to imagine that Hillary is actually going to face charges, it's beginning to seem like quite a stretch. I've been compiling an article to kind of expose all the fraud, but I've found so many things that I'm having a hard time condensing it all into an article, to tell you the truth. And knowing that much exists in fraud against both her and Bill is, to think that she's going to face charges now seems a little bit iffy.
I don't know. I think it's going to be Larry Langford. And let me explain to you real quick what I mean by that. There was a mayor in Birmingham by the name of Larry Langford. And everybody knew that Larry had been up to no good. The next thing it just time goes on and on and on. Everybody talks about, we had a radio show, Paul Feinbaum, who's now across the country on ESPN, that all he talks about is college football, and every day they would talk about Larry Langford going to jail. And how is he getting away with this? Everybody knew it. Everybody talked about it, very open. Nobody ever thought anything would happen, ever, because it was so open. Then all of a sudden, Larry Langford goes into his office one day, and there are the feds with 100 and how many?
Oh, God.
120, 140, something crazy.
Yeah.
Charges. And it was like, all right, we saved up. We got it all. Let's go. And what the point of that is because he pleaded, like, they got out of a lot of them. And I think he only ended up getting, like, charged with 60, which is still a ton. But, like, they wanted to make sure they had everything. So what they could get out of, there's still so much more there. There's nothing they can do. Like, once they're caught, they're caught. The FBI is doing something. You've got even Bernie's camp. Like, his wife said it. Jane Sanders was, all right, the FBI needs to hurry up and get on, do their job here. Like, there's pressure from all over the place. The Clintons, you have to remember, do not have that many friends. Everybody hates them, especially her. She's not a likable person. It's not like, everybody thinks of it as, she's part of the establishment and she's in the clique. You still have to remember they have personalities. And she's a very unlikable personality, and these people hate her. I've heard David Geffen say he would spend every last dollar he could to make sure she would never, ever, ever become president of the United States.
Wonder if he was a Bernie
fan. And he was
fan.
A huge supporter.
Well, let me say this, too, then, on that note, because I hold out hope myself. On that note, the author of this article that got pulled was interviewed by Breitbart, and he said, it was a very cursory sort of article that Breitbart did. But in that little article, he said he was not told why his article was pulled by HuffPost, but that he had sources to back up his claims. So there is that little tidbit out there.
That there was actually, that it was real.
Yeah, even though it appears to be somewhat kind of a wishful thinking article, like she should be prosecuted, he actually said, I have my sources. Like, he was willing to tell HuffPost and expose the sources to HuffPost where he got his information.
Well, it seems like if he would have done that, it would have just been in the article, though, don't you think? If he would have told.
Yeah, I think so, too. But HuffPost pulled the article before he even had a chance to defend it, and then they refused to speak to him afterwards or even give him an explanation for why they did so, which is a little bit suspicious in itself.
Yeah, we shall see. I think, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with them. I think their time's coming, though, because there's no way that woman can survive what Donald Trump's going to do to her. It's not, if it was anybody else, it would be like, okay, maybe he can, like, he can't.
She barely survived
Bernie. I say this, any other woman.
Uncle Bernie.
He couldn't do it to any other woman in the world, but he can do it to her because she is horrible. And everybody knows. Like, everybody knows she gets behind the camera and just starts screaming and cussing. And, she's what you imagine Richard Nixon was like. Meets Hitler. Like, that's how I imagine her personality. I'm sure she's just a peach to be around.
I don't think that's any way to talk about your future president. I really don't.
Well, let me throw this out there then, because we have a couple different, avenues that might happen with the DNC and the RNC coming up. Bill Kristol has said that they have an alternate Republican candidate coming up. They're going. What?
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, Shane, you're an idiot too. But
so the GOP says that they basically have an alternate candidate to Trump. So there might be a very contentious campaign or contentious convention in Cleveland after all. Now, there's obviously a huge dispute between Hillary's horrible campaign and Bernie and his enormous popular support that's going to make the DNC equally as controversial. So, considering all of these events, I have said both that Hillary might win and that Trump might win, and at this point, it seems to be completely up in the air. So I'm wondering what you think on all this.
I think that it's going to be Trump and Hillary at the end of the day. Now, there may be some little last-minute fireworks and pyrotechnics. If you've ever watched the show The Apprentice that used to be on NBC, you need to watch that sometimes. It's a fascinating show. And it's really, truly great. It's amazing. All of my friends love it. You watch that show, and you can already see a clear front runner, emerge about midway through the season. But they'll do all of these little quiet little plot twists and things like that, even though you have a pretty much a clear. Well, American Idol did it too to a certain degree. You always had that one front runner that always did really well, just slaughtered everybody else in the polls. But they would try to create just a little bit of drama here and there, and I think that's what we're seeing with both the RNC and the DNC. I'm sorry, Bernie is cooked. Hillary has played fast and loose with the rules, has pulled every single conceivable favor that you could think of, because there's been some mighty strange stuff that's happened in the Democratic primaries. I think we can all agree. Polls closing down and, election results suddenly changing in midstream, just, to one number is being projected or one number is being put up on a TV screen, and then 30 seconds later, the numbers are completely different. Things like that. It's just, I don't know. There's just been a lot of crazy stuff, particularly on that side. Now, the RNC, I'm sorry, nobody saw Trump coming. Not even me.
I don't know. The Trump, I don't know. I'm not as shocked as everybody else about Trump. Bill Kristol, I don't know, like he's been saying he's going to run this lawyer that nobody's ever heard of, this conservative lawyer named David French. I heard that like French said he wasn't going to do it. But anyways, that's a joke. Like how some guy with that nobody's ever heard of running against Donald Trump, like that's barbaric. Like
yeah, but what about like the GOP lining up like behind Hillary because of Trump?
No, that may happen. That could happen. And what's that going to do? Nobody cares what Mitt Romney thinks anymore.
Who?
What? Yeah, what's that going to do?
Who?
That's not going to do anything. That's not going to sway one voter. I don't.
No, I'm saying for the nominee though. If they're lining up behind Hillary, then if they throw in any nominee, it doesn't even matter how viable or not viable this person might be. If they throw in somebody to contend with Trump at the convention, it could be chaos after all. Like we were saying, it might not be now that Trump is the presumptive nominee, but if they do that, then it's going to be, again, a situation of chaos.
It's going to look so desperate, it won't matter. He'll get it. It's going to, yeah, he's got it. Unless,
Mark it down, put it in the record books. It is done.
Yeah.
Donald J. Trump versus Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Now, outside.
Who wins then?
O-E mono.
That's a joke, right? You didn't even ask me that, I hope.
Not you. I'm asking Shannon.
Ask me what?
Who's going to win then?
I think Hillary is. I think Hillary is your establishment's clear choice. The establishment knows exactly what they want from Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton is all too eager to do their evil bit.
You're wrong. I can't even let you say that.
Well, first off, now let's go ahead and make one thing clear. If the popular vote actually really mattered, if it actually really mattered,
that's why I'm telling you what
Donald
I'm telling
J. Trump would be the president of the United States.
No, he's going to be the president, and I'm telling you.
On what ground?
Okay, watch.
On what grounds?
Right, they said the same thing.
I'm not saying that he's not going to win the popular vote. Let's go ahead and I'll be on record about that right now. He should do quite well, particularly because I think there's going to be a lower voter turnout than a lot of people.
Fantasy land.
No way.
If you think
no way,
Hillary
no how.
Clinton, you know nothing.
Everybody can talk and the headlines can scream all they want to. That doesn't translate to butts in the polls.
Dude, it's going to be like 49 states, man.
You think?
Oh, I know. 48.
So
it'll be above 45. It'll be above 45 states.
I'm going to place a little.
So just like as a kind of a wild card, then what if it's Bernie versus Trump? Who do you think will win?
It'll be Trump.
It's not going to be Bernie. Bernie's
it won't
done.
Be Trump.
Bernie's done.
Yeah, you're right. It won't be Bernie ever in a million years. But if it was, it would still be Trump, but it would be closer. It would be a closer race.
I think it would be. Yeah, because Bernie's going to get a few more of your moderates that may go out and try to.
Bernie would still lose. Trump would still win, but it would be a lot closer. I think a lot of people would support Bernie over Hillary. A lot of people. And I think they'd suck up that socialism business.
My point is that
because they can say we can stop him. Congress can stop him from that.
The vote totals are manufactured anyways. And even if they're not manufactured, and the vote totals are still somehow lean toward one candidate or another, they can always work that little situation out in the delegate system.
That's true, but when you bring a mob out like Donald Trump has,
works delegates.
This is different.
Like Hillary Clinton.
There's a mob, dude. There's a mob. This is not a
mob of what? What are they going to do?
Okay, what would have happened if they would have come out in November of 2008 and said, "Hey, everybody, like everything happened exactly like it did," and just went, "John McCain won." That's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Like it's not going to happen.
No, not entirely.
Because that would have been ridiculous. And guess what?
Look who's been a good whipping boy for the establishment for the past 8 years.
People have been waiting their whole lives to get a hold of the Clintons.
Mm-hmm.
They've just been waiting their moment.
And they're just going to have to wait at least 4 more years.
She will never, ever be the president of the United States of America. Ever.
We'll put some money on it?
I will be president before she will.
You want to put some money on it, Mr. President?
Yeah.
Well, here's a thought, though. I mean, we all know that Trump and the Clintons have associated rather, thickly in the past. So really, I think that the determination here is that either Trump or Hillary in office is a win for the establishment. And I think people are ignoring that.
Yes, I agree.
Ding, 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 ding.
Agree. Now,
That's
that
the winner
I agree.
right there.
Because Trump will be president if, God forbid, they do something. But even if that happens, even if they do something, whoever takes his place will get to Mississippi to vote and they'll win. So, again, Hillary's not going to win. But, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if you think about it like that, though, the way that they have associated for decades, it's a win either way. And this is all theater to make it appear like there's a difference.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
The only downside
he is and he's not.
The only downside is
because his ego does make him kind of
his
rogue.
ego and his mouth attached to that ego.
Yeah, his ego and his mouth make him rogue.
You put him in the wrong situation with the wrong international leader.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying he's less dangerous or something. I'm not saying that he's not a really scary and frightening candidate. I don't, I believe that thoroughly. I'm just saying that for the establishment, I don't really believe that there is any difference. And I think that at this point with Hillary's the FBI investigation hanging on the balance here, I think that Trump actually serves as an insurance policy. If she does fall down to charges or if she does not get the popular vote, that's what Trump's for.
But listen,
they're like the same person, except he's more dangerous because he's kind of a rogue. But in terms of the establishment, they're associates.
Donald Trump, yeah, but here's the thing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is an act. Like the person you're seeing on TV, that's an act. That's a character that he's playing. And he knows, and he's really good at it.
I don't know. I think there's more of that in real life.
He's really good
I think there's more of that in his real life than you get
Maybe
credit
so.
for.
Listen, he may live his life that way. I'm not saying he doesn't. But I'm going to tell you, he knows what he's doing. He knows everything he's saying. It's calculated. The way that he attaches, Ted Cruz. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Lying Ted. Marco Rubio. First thing that comes to mind. Little Marco. That's it. He attaches this stuff and destroys them. Low energy jab. Like he knows what he's doing. This isn't by accident.
Do you see what I'm saying? Because that's kind of what I'm saying. This is not an accident. It's not an accident that he is equally popular running as an anti-establishment candidate, despite the fact he is an establishment candidate.
He
against Hillary.
He's using real propaganda. Like he's using scary propaganda.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
He's using brainwashing propaganda.
Yes, he is.
Build a wall.
He is. And
he's a totalitarian demagogue. I mean, you can't get much more frightening than that.
I tell you what, let's get into, we'll go back into more or less frightening. And just on the second hour of Anti-Media Radio, be back in about 5 minutes. Welcome back
Song ended a little earlier than we wanted it to, I guess.
to the second hour of Anti-Media Radio on ucy.tv/GAMR. You can catch us live every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. I kind of almost got it right. Almost.
Pacific.
Yeah, it was way off, as usual.
Well, it doesn't matter. The Pacific's not going to be here too much longer. So.
Oh, yeah, we had that story in the first hour. So we don't have to worry about that. That's just the Northwest, though. So, anyways, whatever I was saying.
Anywho.
Make sure to listen to us live. Nick Burnaby, the founder of Anti-Media, is on Monday and Wednesdays, and he is on an hour later at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. And catch all of our replays on YouTube, including our interview with Juanita Broderick from last week, the woman that identifies the Bill Clinton rape survivor. We hadn't been on air since that night.
Yeah, we had to miss last.
Yeah, we took
episode.
last Thursday off.
Medical issues.
So real quick, for those that haven't heard that interview, it's on YouTube right now. Just search Juanita Broderick Anti-Media. It'll come up. A fascinating 30-minute long conversation we had with her. Claire, what was your take on the conversation we had with Miss Broderick?
Well, she's been telling the same story without varying any of the details in any significant way for a very long time. And my tendency is to believe what it is that she has to say.
Yeah, the truth never changes, does it?
No, it really doesn't. I mean, only small details of the truth might change over time. I mean, we're talking about decades. But the substance of what she's said has not changed one bit. And she's not sought money or, anything out of it. So my tendency is to believe what she has to say.
I believed every single word personally. I speak for myself, spoke with her for 30 minutes live on air. I personally believe every single word she said as having a conversation with her. There was no part of me at all that ever felt like any of it was misleading or a lie. Like, it just kind of was what it was. This is the story. Here's how it happened. You don't have to rehearse the truth.
Exactly.
And if you go back and look at all of the, it's a very easy Google rabbit hole to climb down, and man, it's disgusting. The list, the whole entire list of the known, and some of these were actually, there was, some litigation, whether it be civil or criminal, followed suit. A lot of them stopped at the police station, or stopped at the employer's office, or stopped at, but there's just a whole entire list available on several websites out there. In fact, and I encourage you to read as many as you can, because you'll find new ones on different websites as the years progress and more people sent more investigators and more investigative reporters to go and try to find all of these women and all of these anecdotes. There's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot that stretch all the way back.
I saw on the cover. It was on the cover of the National Enquirer today as I stood in line at the grocery store. It said like 56 or something. Some crazy number.
Yeah, and again, these are people that we know about, or there's been a story of a story, or this, that, and the other. But there's so many of them.
Oh, we learned one last week. I bet you nobody had ever heard. Was the lady in the parking lot at Walmart that she told us about?
Yeah,
she said the lady came up to her.
Didn't identify herself.
Yeah, came up to her and said that Bill Clinton had his way with her. She said she wished she would have gotten more information on it. She said that was the only time, though, anybody ever came up to her. There's no telling, though, how many there are. No telling.
especially when he made president of the United States. I mean, that's a rather powerful position.
I mean, if you believe the gossip around the Clintons, it goes upwards into 2,000 or more.
But I think that discredits it a bit to call it gossip.
I guess, but is it not what it is? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I didn't see it happen. I haven't seen Bill Clinton have sex once, thank God.
Allegations might be.
They say it. Yeah, they say he bragged about it.
Well,
like, that's the story. They say he bragged about it.
At the same time, to be fair, the Juanita Broderick story started off as an allegation by somebody who was trying to seek some sort of fame.
What did Hillary say? You got to believe every victim.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Hillary's story was?
Yeah.
But she won't listen to Miss Broderick, will she?
Well, we were talking
She's not
earlier.
Having that one, or any of Bill's women, for that matter.
We were talking earlier off air. Let's forget about Bill's women for a minute and the meme that has been floating around the internet for the past month now. It actually, for some reason or another, was all over my face wall today. The old story about when, and I believe it was in the 70s, Hillary was practicing law in Little Rock and had to take on a case where she had to actually defend an accused rapist of a 12-year-old girl.
Okay, you said you saw something I had never read on it.
Actually, and I looked into it because I want to preface this in case anybody has kind of the same thought pattern I did. I kind of looked it up just briefly when I saw. You saw the meme.
I saw the meme. I did not personally know the story. So anyway, I was like, okay, I'm going to look into this.
The first clue was
as soon as I saw it.
That looked at Snopes.
I could. Yeah, don't shut up. Don't say that word.
Yeah, again, we know, but even when Snopes kind of grudgingly sort of admits it's true, and then you go to read the whole entire story and they actually do admit it's true, but they put the little mixture of false or true or whatever at the top of it. So they already try to throw you off the trail. You look on it, okay, well then it's not really 100% true, so I'm not going to actually read the entire story. So then I started reading the entire story and then cross-referencing it with other stories that are available on the internet, some that are from your specialty, either left or right leaning sites, and some that are just straight up fact on just various different news
sites.
I
did not.
Well,
and in a moment of honesty here, I didn't look into it that much. What I saw, it made the meme. What I read, it made the meme look exaggerated.
Yeah, and it was.
And yeah, that was the impression I got from what I looked into it. Like the meme was exaggerating the story about Hillary. Like we all get Hillary's evil, but like the meme was making it sound worse than it really was. That's the impression I got. So I didn't put much stock into it after that. That's why I didn't dive much deeper, because it really. I should have. That's my own fault, because it's Hillary Clinton. So there's always another story there.
And again, the whole reason I was even interested in it, because, the person who had posted it has posted other, right-wing leaning stuff. And so I was curious. I was like, how true really is that? Because I absolutely despise and loathe Hillary Clinton. I'm not a fan at all.
See, that was me. I saw it on some crazy right site, and I was like, there's no way that's true, but it's her, so I'll check. That was my mentality.
And then you start digging and digging and digging to find out it actually is really true. Honest to God, a true situation.
Okay, so you got the transcripts.
Yeah. She basically what had happened was she was an attorney, a young struggling attorney, trying to make good. The case came up on the docket, and she was pretty much given the case. She didn't really want to take the case and kind of objected behind the scenes. This is according to her anecdotes and from her biography, I believe, in 2003. The meme goes on to say something to the effect of basically that she defended this guy. She defended the guy willingly, actually took the case on as a favor, and so on and so forth, and actually got the convicted child rapist free or whatever. Well, the guy actually did wind up serving time, but it was on a diminished sentence. And if you read it, you actually see that Hillary actually did go in as a public defender and defend her client so well that she was able to get her client to plead to some little, I think it was like, fondling a child or something like that, something ridiculously smaller than the actual incident that happened. Well, here's where the thing gets kind of sticky. She apparently gave an interview while Bill was the governor of Arkansas back in the early 80s. And she has heard on the, and we've all seen this before, where somebody will take a sound clip of something damning out of a large paragraph, completely out of context, and make it look like something that it's not. And basically in the interview, they were asking her about what she thought about, because they quizzed her on the case. It was a pretty high profile case. And she kind of, grudgingly admitted that she knew her client was guilty, that he even passed a polygraph test, and that pretty much diminished her faith in polygraph tests. And she kind of gave a little nervous laugh at the end of it, like she's famous for doing.
Her cackle.
Yeah, her little cackle. And so somebody's taken that, blew it up into a meme, made a right-wing thing out of it. But here's the truth in that story. Regardless of whatever she did as an attorney or this, that, and the other, it was the way that she went after this girl. And this happens so many times in so many different sexual assault, rape, of sexual harassment, all of these other...
You hearing this, Claire? You're getting the pen and paper out?
Yeah. It's just absolutely fascinating that Hillary, who has been, the champion of pro-women's rights, and I'm your women's candidate, and finally a woman's here to do the work that the women have always wanted to do. Their shining example.
I know the end of the story, but I'm going to pretend like I don't. Please tell me you're about to say she attacks a 12-year-old child. Little girl
in court,
rape victim.
Yes.
Please tell me she does.
Basically paints the picture that the little girl,
she's that evil,
12 years old, mind you, has already had a history, and even though this has been undocumented and unverified, no witnesses were called forth, but she suggested to the court and suggested to the jury that the child, 12-year-old child, had already had a proclivity after going towards older men, had some sort of mental issues, recommended she sought, psychiatric evaluation as to whether she was making this story up.
Oh, my gosh, I can get in chills.
There is physical evidence. See, here's the problem.
Clinton.
There is physical evidence in this trial, and because the police had mismanaged the evidence, basically through I really don't want to even go into the description. Just go check the story out. But threw a very key part of the evidence away, or mishandled it, or got other DNA on it, or whatever the case may be. And so it pretty much left the prosecution in a state where they already had a weak case to begin with. They went ahead and went forward with it. And that was pretty much how it kind of all worked out. It was the way that she went after this young lady. And, you stack that up with the story that we heard from Juanita Broderick on this show. You stack that up with all of these other women that Hillary, whether she's confronted some of these women, they paid Paula Jones off $850,000.
There was Paula Jones, there was Catherine Willey, there was Juanita Broderick, there was Jim Flowers, which was his girlfriend. There was the Energizer, there was Monica Lewinsky. That's the public record. Those are all public records.
But there's many more anecdotes, particularly women that said something at one point in time and now have recanted their statement and are now
they're all lying.
Slowly but surely coming back now that we're started all of the chorus of voices about, Bill's behavior behind the scene.
Are people that stupid?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like really? Like they think.
Bill Clinton.
There's people out
Bill
there.
Clinton was president for 8 years. Of course
There's
they are.
There's people that go, they're all lying. All these people, because the Clintons are so glorious, they just want to bring them down. They're just so great. They just love us. They hate us for our freedom. That's what it is. They hate us for our freedom.
It's the same mentality.
It is. I can't believe they would attack the Clintons. Those women were just proven. What kind of lunatic believes that? Like, you should seek psychiatric care if you do not believe that Bill Clinton has had multiple relationships and fondled women and raped at least one woman.
There's anecdotes of more of that. Bill pretty much, he's just a disgusting
He was
pig.
on an airplane, 27 times that went to an island. Oh, my gosh. I'm not even going to go there. Jeffrey Epstein.
ABC has pictures of him while they were on a plane with him during his initial presidential run, where he got drunk on the plane and actually stuck his hand up one of the.
There was a girl. Her name is Virginia. Oh, I'll get it in a second. She said she saw Bill there on the island, but she said she didn't have sex with him. Oh, I'm going to get her name. I'm going to find it.
This is that's what I'm talking about.
Written down.
You know, honestly, it's all moot. The point is that the Clintons are disgusting people, and to imagine that anybody actually supports them, they would have to be just willfully ignoring every single bit of evidence.
Do you want to hear
in existence?
something really hilarious? And this is the truth. Okay, so the past, for people that don't know, I also on the side do images sometimes, and certain image I made and had. Hillary Clinton was the subject, thanks to the people I'm speaking to actually came up with the topic. Orange is the new red, white, and blue. Mm-hmm. Is that what it is? Okay. So people hate Hillary Clinton, right? So I'm trying to promote what we do here at Anti-Media and get more, followers. And I feel like a good way to do that, and a very fun way to do that, is troll Hillary Clinton. Sounds like a great thing. Mm-hmm. So I have been attaching Miss Broderick's interview on top of that image, and I won't tweet at her unless she's tweeted in the last minute, because I have to make sure that it has to be seen. Like, as soon as you see her tweet, I want it right there. Like, as soon as you see hers, I want mine to be right next to it. And we're talking about Hillary Clinton. Everybody sees these tweets. So that's my whole mentality on it. Anyways, so they get all these likes and retweets, tons of them. And the only negative comments you get at all, it'll be some smart comment, right? And you'll look at the profile, it's fake. The profile is fake. They go in every single comment, they go and say something negative. There's 2 followers. There's no profile picture. It's a picture of some girl or something. But yeah, they're fake. So the people that are supporting her on Twitter and saying, no, they're not real.
Do you think it's actually Hillary herself?
Maybe.
Oh, man, that would be awesome.
I know.
She's got
that's true. What I just told you, I experienced.
She's using a private server, though. You'll never figure out how to if it's her or not. Yeah. She's probably got 80 Facebook accounts.
She does.
I wonder how many Facebook accounts Bill has.
Oh, he don't have time. No, sir.
I don't know. You think he needs help these days?
Yeah.
A little bit of Viagra.
Yeah, he's got problems.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, Claire, your reaction to that?
Yeah.
You talking about my comment?
I guess I'm stunned, and I'll bring it up again because I've brought it up before. It's very obvious to me, in having to research for articles and such, that the majority of the fraud going on, and I will call it fraud, in the primary process has been so in favor of Hillary, and so inexplicably so. Her support in all of the months of this election so far, I have only literally encountered one single person who honestly supported Hillary. One single person. And from what I understand, I'm unusual in finding that person. So to imagine that she's pulled off this campaign, supposedly in the, playing the woman card or whatever, and has managed to do so without any legitimate support on social media, it defies reason.
I'll say this for that. You're talking about genuine Hillary supporters. I don't even remember how. Somehow, Anthony Weiner liked or I keep going back to Twitter here, but liked or retweeted something I did. Anyways, I was like, what? So I started following him. I was like, that's interesting. I'm going to follow this guy now. And so he's really interesting. Like he's a likable guy on Twitter. Like he's funny. And like you kind of like start liking him just from because he's like seems pretty smart and funny guy. And anyways, so no, he retweeted. I don't remember. Anyways, it's irrelevant. So he said something today about Hillary because it's like I get kind of like I like this guy, and then I stop and I think it's like he's married to this woman. First off, what did he do to begin with? He's a scumbag. Second off, he's married to the lady that's Hillary's right-hand man. So he's as corrupt and horrible as they come. Like, I understand this. So please don't think that I'm supporting Anthony Weiner here. But anyways, personality, you start liking him. So he said something about Hillary, and I just went off on him. I was like, dude, you're not dumb, which he obviously is because of what he got caught doing. But I was like, you're not dumb. You cannot believe any of this stuff. Like, you can't really believe it. Like, you know she's going to get beat. Like, there's no brain cell you have. Like, I know you have to say this in public, but you can't believe it. Like, you understand, like, what's going to happen. I don't think anybody believes it. I think they're having to convince themselves.
Well, Anthony Weiner, isn't he married to Hilma Abedin?
Yeah, he's one of them. He's horrible. He's one of them.
He's in the thick of it.
Oh, sure he is. But look, they say that about Bill. They say Bill's the most likable guy in the world in person. They say you met him, you love him. So I think it's just that personality. But they're scumbags. They're evil. Evil. So, anyways, that was my thought. Characters on wrestling. That's all they are. Politicians are just characters on wrestling. Think of
that. He gives them too much credit.
No, you're talking about a rapist, man. That's something way different than a wrestler.
Yeah.
That's there's a certain pathology, or you know, pathology. What is the word I'm looking for? God, I'm getting so old.
Oh,
he's a sicko, man.
Of course,
psychopath.
They all are
sociopath.
They all are. They all are. I'm still shocked that when I saw Trump speak, and you too, Claire, that he wasn't more likable. Like, I expected to go in there and be like, even though I came in negative, I was like, this guy's going to win me over. Like, I was thinking about it like that. Like, I'm going to just give in and let the emotion go with and see where it goes, because I know in my head this is all bogus, so I can walk out and not care. Because I wanted to see how good it was. Nothing. Like, nothing. Like, it was good right at the very, 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 very beginning. Maybe within the first 3-4 minutes. And then it was just repetitive nonsense. It wasn't charming. It wasn't good. It wasn't... I didn't get this Obama, or a Kennedy or a even Bill Clinton kind of thing. It was just repetitive.
Well, I mean, we have devolved that far. If you look at this election, I mean, it's not only the candidates.
He's brainwashed.
That are well, yeah, but it's not only the candidates that are disgusting. I mean, even the media, the mainstream media, has fallen into this trap of just it's not even kind of smear campaigns. It's like mudslinging of the highest order. I mean, everything has become tabloid-esque, talk show, daytime crap. And it's hard to believe that these people expect us to get behind them as if they had stature to be, quote-unquote, leaders of the free world. I mean, the whole thing is so farcical, it is really kind of stunning.
Well, it's idiocracy. It's idiocracy.
Truly.
Mike Judge wrote about it. It's a cross between Idiocracy and 1984. That's kind of what we live in, I think, is a mix between those two.
And Brave New World.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing.
I love that book. Nobody's done a good movie on that one. They need to do.
I didn't like the 1984 movie.
It's all right. It's watchable. I watched it the other day, believe it or not.
Yeah, I tried watching it not too long ago, and I couldn't sit all the way through it.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. It hadn't aged well.
It hadn't.
I don't think so.
I'm reading 1984 again.
Oh, I've read that book 100 times, and I'll read it 100 more.
That's what, yeah.
I love it. We actually listened to, when I was driving to Dallas, listened to the audio book on Animal Farm. Man, I forgot how just great that book is. It really is. I think, I don't, do kids still read that one in school? I know I do.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's another really fitting title for right now. I mean, that's another narrative that fits really well with this particular election.
Oh man, it's really, and of course
I feel like we're living in more chaos than that, though.
Well, I think 1984 is a lot more pointed because the technology is caught up. You know, but instead of the TV that's watching you, we actually have the TV in our hands watching us.
I think
at
it's
all
way
times.
surpassed 1984.
Yeah. Actually, I shared a quote. I shared a quote from 1984 today. There were no telescreens, of course, but there was always the danger of concealed microphones by which your voice might be picked up and recognized.
There's no telescreens. What are you talking about? People are walking around taking selfies.
I know, but it's the point. I mean, on the same day that the article comes out that Facebook has switched everybody's acceptance of ads back over where they can literally listen to all of your conversations and turn on your camera and turn on your microphone whenever they want to. It just seems so incredibly appropriate.
You had shared an article from Zero Hedge earlier. I didn't get a chance to click on that, but expound on that just for half a second because I was rather curious about that.
Yeah, so it turns out, and I didn't read the whole thing in depth, but Facebook has made it so that if you have this one section of your ad settings set so that you can accept, I think it's more like targeted advertising. What you're actually accepting is the ability for third parties, quote unquote, which is really Facebook, to turn on your microphone and your camera arbitrarily without your consent at any time you want to, as long as it's turned to yes. And the thing that happened is that in the latest update, anybody who had opted out of that option, it automatically switched you back into accepting it. And I went in and checked because I had opted out of that option, and sure enough, it had me accepting yes. So it's like imperative that if you have any conversations in front of your PC, that you go back in and switch that off to no. But somebody brought up a bigger issue on that is how is that even legal? Because if you're consenting when you agree to Facebook's terms to allow them to turn on your microphone and have this third-party targeted advertising, what about other people that you're having conversations with in the room? Have they agreed? No. So really, Facebook is actually violating very serious constitutional law. And it's an interesting case, and I'd be interested to see if any, constitutional lawyers actually follow up on that and try to make a case of it, because it seems pretty legitimate.
But do you think anything is going to come of it?
Nothing ever comes of anything anymore.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, in principle, there's a very valid case there.
So people need to know this. This is important because they can at least, if it means anything, they can go at least switch the switch in settings. If that, if that's relevant. I guess it's just like, we're going to do it anyway, so, maybe it's a little more. I don't believe if you hit that switch, they can't do it.
Yeah, I don't either. But it's at least, ostensibly, it's the appearance of saying no to something that is unacceptable.
Right. Maybe they do. What do I know? But I don't work there.
Yeah, I don't buy it for a second. But
I personally think they could get into it if they had to. They could do it.
Well, it's even if Facebook doesn't, the NSA's doing it anyway, so.
Oh, yeah. Everything that we do in any electronic capacity, and a lot of times outside of it, is being monitored.
Well, on that note, though, did you see the thing today out of the European Commission that Facebook and Google and YouTube and Microsoft and Twitter signed an agreement, a massive agreement, to cut down and target hate speech online? Now, it's under the guise of...
Sorry.
It's under the guise of European hate speech law. But even in the agreement that's written out, which is not very specific to begin with, it says that they wish to expand basically the geographical reach of this agreement, which implies anywhere in the world. So if you put anything offensive up, and we all know that Facebook has been having this massive campaign of reporters and takedowns of posts and censorship and all this, it just got a heck of a lot worse.
Okay, I don't know if you heard this, but a former Miss, this is actually right now on the front page of the antimedia.org, former Miss Turkey sentenced for insulting president. That's pretty much, that's the story, but it was actually on her Instagram account. What she did was she received a suspended sentence for 14 months for publicly insulting in a satirical poem she posted on her Instagram account. And she actually was sentenced to jail, and then she got a suspended sentence. So, yeah. For a poem she posted on her Instagram account. I get it's Turkey, but look, first off, we're allies with Turkey, so let's not get this whole, that's not crazy Middle East, whatever people think. Hey, we're their allies. Yeah, So is Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that's fun too. Whatever. I'm not going to go there right now. But
this is a massive move across the world towards authoritarianism and totalitarianism and fascism. It's kind of across the board. Instead of being like a couple countries that we're allied with, or a couple countries here and there, it's kind of a global push in that direction, and it should be noted by everybody.
It feels that way. It does feel that way. I mean, I think, like, you've got Corbyn and you've got in the UK, and I think that gives people a feeling of the power is going back to the people, and they feel that with Bernie, and I think people think that with Trump. Not that any of those are true, but anyways, the point is that's not real, though, because look who's in charge. David Cameron, Obama, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, who I like to remind people not only has bombed 8 countries, but has now been at war longer than any other U.S. president in history. 43 prior, he's now been at war longer than all of them. Not collectively, of course.
And not declared, of course.
Oh, right, of course. Well, no, not declared. Because no president's been at war since Truman, I guess. I guess he'd have been the last president at war. We wouldn't have had one since, because there hasn't been a declared war since World War II. So that's always a fun stat to bring up. We haven't declared a war since World War II. That's fantastic. So they can say we've never, we're not at war. We've been at constant
we haven't
war.
been in war.
It's constant war. It's constant. And it's all lies. Vietnam, oh my gosh. Like, I'm going to say this. I hate it for everybody. Like, I can't even imagine. People have died. I understand. So there's, like, it's equally bad. I get it. But in mass, in the scope of what they did to our soldiers in Vietnam, like the huge numbers, oh my goodness. Like, they treated those guys like cattle, like they do now, but like they were just sending them out to just die. And then they were spraying, Lord knows everything they were spraying on them. I mean, just like it was nothing. They could care less. Those aren't human beings. Those are pawns. Like, that's disgusting. Like, who's making those decisions? And we're doing it based on lies. On lies. We're being led into these wars. And it's all, and you got the audacity. Like, Who says we're not an empire? Like, who can say with a straight face we're not an empire? You may think we're not. You may think a lot of things. Don't make you right. When you have military bases in over 100 countries, okay, 100, and you install dictators throughout the world and remove dictators throughout the world at will, that's called an empire, controlling sections of their territory. So that's the world we live in, whether you like it or you don't. Do you believe for 1 second that if we told the United Kingdom to go to war with us in Iraq, full-on heads, whatever, tomorrow, David Cameron wouldn't do it? You better believe he would make that happen. You better believe he would. That's called a territory. And look, they work in conjunction. I get this sometimes. And there's, I hate to go there, but that's getting, probably too broad. But anyways, I digress. I just rambled on for a whole bunch of nonsense.
It's not nonsense, though. I mean, I don't think that people, they tend to focus on the little areas of conflict. Like, people will focus on Afghanistan or even the Middle East or Russia or whatever, but they don't see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that the U.S. government has fingers in every possible region on the planet. And we are trying to manipulate things for very, not good ends. And it is starting to fall apart. Like, we're overextended, and people are realizing the truth, and this is the crumbling empire. We're witnessing it.
It is.
And that's why it's like the clamp down on rights and the clamp down on this, that, and the other thing, increased surveillance, increased prosecution of whistleblowers and dissidents. They don't want people to know the truth. They don't want people to rebel because they know that this is the prime time for people to do it.
So what has happened is since World War II, everything is basically spread into three huge world powers. You have the powers of the West, you have Russia, and you have really Asia, but Russia, I think, is its own kind of thing, and the Baltic states a little bit. That's its own thing, but you got China and the Pacific Islands. And, a lot of Pacific Islands are part of the U.S. So, anyways, that's I think generally it. Russia, China, and the West, which includes everything else. Europe, South America, they got their own problems to worry about.
Yeah, we made all of them.
I know we did, but yeah, they got more important things to worry about. But yeah, we did it all, so they're kind of part of the empire. I think that's where we go experiment with stuff. Let's just see if this works. Let's see how this works out for us.
We need to shift gears for a moment because there's one story that's been blowing up all over the United States right now, and that's the story at the Cincinnati Zoo.
Oh.
And Claire, that's up near your neck of the woods. What's your take on the fact that they had to kill this very extremely rare and endangered silverback gorilla for someone who was either not attending to their child, or maybe there was a zoo enclosure that wasn't safe? One way or the other, the child wound up down in the enclosure, and I'm pretty sure everybody listening seen the video. What's your take on it?
I'm going to give my opinion
I
once.
have not seen the video.
I'm going to give my opinion once, and I'm going to kind of let it go because this has become far too detailed and contentious for any serious debate. Whoever's child that was should have been watching them no matter what, period. It does not matter what the zoo enclosure had. The fact is, if that person turned their back long enough for a child to not only escape but go into a gorilla habitat And not to mention the entire crowd of people that was standing around and did not manage to stop the child. Okay, so the child falls into the exhibit, and the gorilla from the footage that I've seen and from what experts have weighed in, the gorilla was trying to protect the child and did not become erratic until the crowd started making noise and people showed up with guns. So really, that gorilla was trying to protect the child, and the move for him to drag the child across the exhibit was not aggressive, but it was to protect the child. So for that endangered animal to die because some woman couldn't manage to keep her eye on her kid for 5 seconds really infuriates me, and that's all I really want to say about it.
Well, I have to ask, and maybe either one, Mr. Gibson, you have not seen the video yet, so obviously you've probably not read any stories or follow-up stories on it, perhaps.
This is my statement.
Yes.
My one and only statement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad the child's not dead. I'm sad the primate is. The end.
Yeah. Well, that it kind of opens the can up for a bunch more questions. Like, number one, should we have gorillas in a zoo to begin with?
Absolutely not.
Or, any of the other things that we tend to keep in zoos, like, what's going to happen when next time it's a child falls down in a lion's den or in a tiger enclosure,
If you're trying to save a species and you're trying to redeem a species and you are trying to look out for the welfare of a species, if they absolutely must be enclosed in some way, there is no reason to put them on display for the public. That's my opinion. Zoos to me are barbaric. It's one thing to have a rehabilitation center or, some sort of preserve to look out for any species of animal. That even in my mind is a little bit questionable, but okay. But to have animals on display like that is just beyond the pale.
Okay, here's a story for you. So the first time I went out to San Diego, I forced Nick to take me to the San Diego Zoo. I hadn't been to the zoo.
world famous.
That's
San
why
Diego
I had
Zoo.
to go.
Yeah,
your whole life,
it's a big deal.
Your whole life, you hear about a few things, and that was one of them. The San Diego Zoo.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know why it was so, but it was the one. You've been to that one. You've been to every zoo in the world. That's how they make it sound.
Yeah.
So I bought into that and said, "Oh, I'm gonna go." I don't know if I'll ever go back to a zoo ever again. It was kind of depressing in spots. Not all of it, but some of it's really depressing. But, that's not my fight. That's not my cause. I'm sad it happens. But, I can't fight everything. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, the zoo. Those people there, though, what the point was is you could tell, like, they loved animals. Like, they thought they were saved. Oh, my gosh. Like, these were not bad people. It didn't seem like. And it seemed like they really believed, like, we're helping them. And I know they've got a huge habitat there that I did not go to. And Nick said, that's all right. He said, that's not as bad. He said, because it's got, like, a bunch of open space. I don't know. I haven't been. But, but yeah, they believe, like, you can tell, like, they love it, like, and they're into it. And I mean, it's not like we're keeping slaves here. Work, helper monkey. They're like, we're making them better. We're going to help preserve the species.
Hey, yeah, I don't see it. I've never seen that in any zoo that I've ever gone to. Particularly, here in Birmingham, we had one of the worst zoos in the country there for a spell. Remember Monkey Island, that big old concrete
man. That was
pit?
the best.
Oh, man.
They were everywhere. There were monkeys all over the park.
Yeah, there was like 4 million monkeys on this
It
little,
was
like, pile
great
of
when you were a
concrete.
kid. Oh, my gosh. You were like 5 years old, and those monkeys were everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, Cincinnati Zoo is actually known for being a really good zoo, and it's kind of the same way like you were describing San Diego. There are some areas that are kind of like almost heartbreaking where it's like, wow, that's just not quite right. But for the most part, all of the people, and I had gone to the zoo for years when I was a kid, you know, field trips and stuff with school. Those handlers, as I guess they call them, I mean, they honestly do care. They probably do believe they're doing the right thing. I don't think that they are wrong. I don't think they're evil people. I just think that they might be misguided and so convinced that that particular way of doing things is right, they might not realize there are other alternatives.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've seen it twice, and I still don't know the name of it. The SeaWorld documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Blackfish or something?
Yeah, that's it, I think. Those people, like, they were interviewing, they just, you know, despise, you know, the company who used to work for them. They were like, we believed it. It was, you know, we were helping. And then they were like, we weren't helping. It wasn't what we should have been doing at all.
Yeah.
But they like, at the time, we didn't know that. We bought into what we were being told because this is, you know, how it was presented to us. This is for their good. This is going to help them. I think in some areas in zoos, there probably are areas where they are rehabilitating animals. I believe that. At the same time, there are also instances where they're just locking and caging animals that don't need to be there.
Yeah, nearly in almost every single instance. Particularly when you're talking about animals that are not indigenous to the area.
Exactly.
Yeah. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
It's cool when you're...
Polar bears in this climate where I am, it's just sickening in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It really is.
Monkeys, I mean, you know.
It was great as a kid. It was great as
a
kid.
How many, I can't remember, how many different varieties of monkeys are native to North America?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah, 0.
I couldn't tell you.
I think. Yeah.
I don't know. Probably 0 would be my guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 0.
I don't know.
Pretty sure.
So, you know.
And again, also,
that's not my argument. I know Claire's super passionate about it, and I know Nick. I know like everybody that I know is, and you know, I don't. Yeah, I know it's so cold.
Well, now we get a story like this comes down the pike though, and now it really underscores the fact. Because, again, regardless of whether the gorilla was being...
I want to say this real quick to clear my name, real quick. When I saw the Syria business last year with all the children, it kind of made me, like, super cold to all the other stuff. It's like, oh, wow, this is happening to humans.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't want to address this before they address the other stuff.
Well, but it still, you know, it also underscores, particularly now that this case has come up, that something does need to be done. Now, right off the bat, I'm sure that gorilla enclosure, if it doesn't get shut down, which I don't know, public outrage is pretty strong right now. Now, will it be that way in a month's time or a year's time? I don't know. This thing has gone pretty viral, and Cincinnati Zoo's their name has been smeared in the mud, but they were doing the same thing that every other zoo has done. You know, animals on display. Now, why they had any kind of accessible. Even if it is a 12-foot drop, even if you have to climb over a barrier, that just seems ridiculous to me. Every zoo that I've ever been to, any of the animals that could be aggressive or dangerous or this, that, and the other were kept completely under glass or protective barrier. There was no getting around it or over it, or you had to go through a locked door or a window or something. And not just simply climb over a little barrier that a 4-year-old child could climb over. Now, I will play devil's advocate for a moment. Scotty, you remember at that time when your child was 4?
What?
Oh, that's right. You don't have children. Claire, do you remember that when your 4-year-old?
I don't.
Ah, there we go. And see, 4-year-old
But I have had exes with kids who were that young, and I will tell you this.
That's why I didn't say word. I don't have a kid, so I don't know. That's why I didn't say about those.
You take multiple kids. Now, I'm just let me hear me out. Let me finish my sentence for a moment. But what I'm saying is if you have one child or multiple children at any public location, whether it be Walmart or Chuck E. Cheese or the zoo, there's always going to be that chance that one of them is going to slip off, and it only takes a half a second. And next thing you know, they've cut their arm off, or they've run out in front of a car. They've done all of this other stuff.
Baby Jessica was in a whale.
For everybody to sit and automatically say, well, that mother's blah, blah, this and this, that, and the other. I wasn't there. I don't know. I don't know if the mother was up there on her phone or if she was distracted by trying to keep another child from jumping over the rail. I don't know. But you know, we need to get all the facts in before we completely.
Yeah, this kid apparently, from several reports that I've heard, said that he wanted to go swimming in that enclosure,
and he did,
and kind of made it known that he was going to go away from his parent. And maybe that's false. I don't know, but I do know this. I've been around even 3-year-old kids long enough to know that they can get away. So, what business any parent has, if there is a dangerous enclosure on that note, not holding on to the kid's hand, not teaching them about like how to be safe around animals. It wasn't as if that kid kind of jumped away and ran into a sprint and jumped over the wall.
I mean, four-year-old child wants to go play with the monkeys and go wrestle with the bears and so on and so forth. Now I will say why the gorillas were accessible in any shape, form, or fashion for people to throw food at them or whatever the case may be was completely stupid by the zoo. I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, and again, we may be talking about a horrible mother that was on her phone or, taking a selfie or something. We don't know. And that's the thing is we don't know. We don't. All we know is that child got injured. Now, I don't know. I still don't know.
Here's what I know. This is what I definitely know. Mm-hmm. We have talked about this topic way too long.
I'd agree with that.
This was time spent not talking about Trump or Hillary for a moment. We had to get some sort of break.
I got to agree with that, too.
Asshole.
Oh, but Lancelot Link? Really?
You are an asshole tonight. You know what I'm saying? You're an asshole every night now that I'm thinking about it. You're fired.
I knew
it. Neither one of us can fire each other because we have no Kevin tonight. Kevin is
Kevin is missing.
He's
tonight.
in class this evening, seeking an education to better himself.
It's a good thing. I'm just a negative person, man.
You really are.
I am the worst. Good grief, I am terrible.
I thought I was pretty worse than you, but
I'm just like, screw the monkey, screw all the animals, whatever. They'll be all right.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We got bigger problems to worry about.
Yeah. Seattle's going to be destroyed
any minute. Have you heard about Seattle?
I know you hate that article, but it's the truth.
I like your article, and I think
I don't hate any article. Well,
that's not true at all.
I don't hate any of your articles, Claire. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Y'all carry this conversation off air. We have.
So, how's everybody feel that Saudi Arabia has beheaded like almost 100 people now? What is it, like 92, 94? Something like that? What?
Oh, but we're still allies.
Oh, yeah, of course we are. We're buddies. Big friends.
But
did you hear they only had 85 billion in assets? Hold on. I'm looking it up. I'm not going to mislead people here. I know. Okay. 52 billion of U.S. stocks. That's it. That's all Saudi Arabia owns. Yeah.
You think that's true?
I don't know. It was reported. No, I don't know.
So what you're telling me is we're going to go ahead and redact them 28 pages now, finally. Good deal.
Yeah, it's in Forbes here, so I don't know. I don't know what I think. That's what they're saying.
It's all that $1.50 a gallon gas we've been buying.
Bloomberg. Bloomberg is reporting.
It would sure seem as if there would be other entities acting on their behalf that would be virtually untraceable for reasons.
Well, it was originally stated that they held 750 billion. And now they're saying as of last June, it was only 52.4.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, that just doesn't, I'm sorry, I don't buy that.
Well, we'll go ahead and redact them pages and we'll see, I guess. I think if that's a true number, Washington needs to start looking into it and start getting their eraser out and go ahead and erase some big black marks. Let's do this thing.
So, do you believe these reports? That's the sad thing about the world we live in. Like, you legitimately have to go, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's...
I don't mean to laugh, but you're so right. I feel like every time I see any headline anymore, even when I'm researching an article, I have to be like, I'm just not sure.
Right, with everything. It's like, maybe that happened. That's why I like it. I'm a really big fan of when they report on somebody's tweet, because I can instantly make sure that really happened. And like, yep, that tweet exists. That did happen.
Well, I'm
like that HuffPost article, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to throw this out here real quick. A friend of mine that actually lives in Seattle had just commented on the story that she's got plans for this while everyone else will be waiting for government to save them if they survive.
If they survive, that's it for us on Anti-Media Radio. I am your host, SM Gibson, for Claire Burns, Shannon Madden. We missed you tonight. Kevin, ucy.td/JAMR, theantimedia.org/radio, Anti-Media, out.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.